A very warm welcome to everyone who has joined us today. We'll just wait a couple of minutes, and in the meanwhile, you have a chat option on the right side of your screen. It would be great if you all could enter your name and where you're joining us from. Absolutely. We have a comment from Lovisha saying, hope we make a difference to at least one person's life. That is the objective of this session and the entire series of Gen Z Solvers Interactive. It's very great to see that we're already drawing inspiration. All right. So to begin with, welcome once again to everyone who's joined us today. We at Worldview are extremely excited to have you all here for season 2 of the Gen Z Solvers Interactive. Just to give you a short brief of what this interactive is about, it is a digital learning experience for Generation Z across the world to work towards real world problem solving while developing their adaptive capacity and other 21st century skills such as creativity, critical thinking, and leadership, just to name a few. Just to give you all a brief of the Airmeet platform etiquette. So when you all joined the session, you would have entered what is the social lounge. I hope you had a chance to interact with each other. If not, we have a bunch of exciting engagements lined up for you in the coming week. Please do use the social lounge to interact with other Gen Z. You will see a chat option on the right side of the screen. As I mentioned, you can use this to interact with us and other audience during the session. Also, there is a Q&A option available at the right side of your screen. We will have a Q&A round in the last 15 minutes of the session. So please keep your questions coming in. You can send in questions throughout the session, but we'll address them at the end of the session. So, welcome again to today's session called For What It's Earth. We have with us Parmita Sarma. She is the co-founder of Akshar Foundation. To give you all a brief about Parmita, she is a humanitarian and a social activist with experience leading projects aimed at helping the underprivileged children. She completed her master's on the challenges of educating children in low income communities at the Tata Institute of Social Sciences. And when she was barely out of her teens, she was already organizing and managing educational programs for children in the underprivileged communities, as well as working in disaster relief programs. So she's the principal of Akshar Forum and has led the establishment of the school and continues to oversee the daily operations. She is also responsible for the school and organization's operational activities and is the recipient of Devi Awards 2019 as well as a TEDx speaker in 2019. Welcome, Parmita. We're extremely pleased to have you on board with us for the session today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Of course. So, to introduce the foundation and Parmita's work as part of the foundation, we'd like to show you all a video that would introduce the work of the foundation. I think there is an audio
Yes.
glitch that we're facing. I think a webinar today, a live webinar, is almost incomplete without a technical glitch. Vaishali, do you want to try coming online and sharing this again? Yes.
we decided to collect plastics from our students because that was the immediate problem. We heard reports from the students that they would burn plastic almost every day. And in the winter months, all the students gathered around it for warmth. So then we made it compulsory. We have made this structure by the students are also getting more conscious now. They are aware that plastic is bad for health, burning plastic is bad, and they are talking to their parents about the ill effects. And like that, actually, they're starting to understand. We hope that they have enough skills, so that they can stand up on their own feet. So we are trying to develop a model where we go from schooling to employment.
That was absolutely wonderful to see, Parmita. The foundation's work is extremely unique in the way they've gone about, incorporating a very sustainable education philosophy and a very unique education philosophy for that matter. So, before we get into what this philosophy is all about and how it has been incorporated, I'd really like to know, what is it that inspired you to begin work with underprivileged students to not only just provide them with a platform to upskill themselves, but also, help them develop that sense of responsibility when it comes to the impact they create on their surroundings. So, what was your source of inspiration?
Since I was young, I always felt bad about the kids that you see everywhere, and Guwahati is not a rich city. So anywhere you go, you just see young children begging and they look really smart. So I always was like, I felt that difference between us and them, that we have a privilege that they do not. And my family, they were all politicians. Like my father was a minister, my mother was in politics. So I knew about the problems that people face from a very close range, because she was supposed to attend to them whenever there was any problem in her constituency and what kinds of problem people face. So like when I was young, I was like, okay, this is something I want to do. I want to work for people, but then I didn't know how. So there was a point of time when I thought that maybe I should join politics because that's the only way to do it. But then I realized that it's not. Politics is very dirty. So maybe education is the way to actually empower people. So that is when I started exploring other schools that were working on in the same lines. And then I met my now husband. So he was trying to start a different kind of school in New York. He was he was a class topper. He was very good in studies. He was working for NASA, and then he dropped out because he could see the difference between the facilities that the rich people and the poor people, the difference of attitude that they receive from everywhere. Like if you want to get admission in a good college, you need money. That means that you just immediately exclude like a big section of the people. So because of that, he dropped out of school, and he also wanted to work on empowering people and educating people. So then I happened to meet him, and we had similar ideas. We wanted to find a way which which actually empowers them, not just for the sake of educating them, like actually have a pathway. So then we decided to start the school together in 2016. We registered before, but we started in 2016.
That's absolutely fabulous. We really hope by the end of this session we have more people drawing inspiration from this and starting their own initiatives on these lines. So getting into Akshar Foundation and what Akshar Foundation's work is all about. So if you could give us a little bit more on what exactly the foundation does and what the education approach of the foundation is and how it is so unique, and what are the unique elements and the sustainable elements that you have incorporated as part of this education philosophy.
Sure. So our school evolved from seeing the needs of the students. So when we first started the school, we had about 20 kids, and it was very hard to get those 20 kids, mind you, because we were like a different kind of school. So parents were not willing to take the risk with us. So we had to like literally beg the parents to send the kids to us. But then we had 20 kids. We saw that a lot of older kids, they were coming to drop off their younger siblings. So in the beginning, we just took kids in the age group of like, 4 to 6, because we thought that the younger we get them, the better it will be, or, we can mold them better. But then we saw older kids coming to drop them off, and then that's how we admitted a few older kids. After that, we realized that we had to find a way to keep those older kids in school, because what happened was that they had to go out to work. Like they had to, like their families required them to work. So we were trying to figure out that how can we keep these older kids at school as well. So our first idea was that we need to make schools very interesting. Like it needs to be a place where kids actually enjoy coming in, not just a place where they're like, oh, I have to go and study there. Like, kids are bored of school. I was bored at my school. So we didn't want that kind of an environment. So we had like a lot of games. We watched a lot of Marvel movies. Kids love watching that. We had worksheets that were designed according based on those movies. So the kids were interested in doing the worksheets, and so we try to incorporate like really fun elements, and kids just love coming to school. So that was the first step. The second step was to keep kids in school. So when we found out that those older kids had to go out to work, we were like, we have to find a way to keep them at school. And then we thought that was my husband's idea actually, that maybe we can put one of these older kids in charge of a bunch of younger kids, and they can just distribute sheets of paper, but then they are just giving out sheets and they are collecting it and they are kind of being responsible. So that was one of the ideas. So then we decided to, like, in the beginning we were paying them very less. Now the thing is, we started paying them again, because what happened was we had one of the students who had nothing. He used to come in rags all the time, and the other students, they would bring some money from their home, or like a bag of chips, or biscuit or something for tiffin time, and we had like no money to afford any food for anyone. So that particular kid, he would always be excluded. So then we were like, how do we include him? We thought maybe we can bring food, but then if we bring food for one kid, we have to bring for everyone. And then we didn't want to give it for free also, because it's just not a good thing to learn, like to be dependent. Like this is something that we did not want to teach the kids. So then we were like, okay, maybe we can start paying them when they're doing that kind of work, like distributing sheets, so that they can earn that money. And that like really worked wonders. Also, we group the kids by their skills, not by their age, which means that when you have like a 13-year-old kid coming for the first time, we would test the kid, find out the kids' English level, math level, and then they go to their levels. So what happens is that kids are with other kids who are at their level, which makes learning interesting for them. You can't be teaching fraction to kids who cannot add, which is what is happening in the government schools. So we started working on the kids' basics, and then they started going from one level to the next, and the whole class doesn't move forward. So it's like if this one particular kid is ready in math, the kid's doing great, has got like above 95% in 5 exams, we test that kid and that particular kid moves up. So that keeps the kids motivated and interested. And then when they move up, their pay also increases. So from a young age, we are trying to instill in them that you can learn more to earn more. You see money directly in proportionate to your studies. So when we have difficulty in getting the kids to school, that's what we told the parents, that, your kids will go work now and they will earn like 200 per day. But then what after 10 years? Your husband is not earning enough money, or like they are not earning enough money. They are barely struggling. In fact, it's surprising that teenagers get actually paid more than the adults because they are stronger. So, so their pay, like if they work in the physical world, like if they do physical work, their pay just basically goes down as they age. So, so we try to make them explain that, like, make them understand that if they study, then they will go earning more and more. So it's totally worth it for them to come to school, even though their pay is very less, because we can't pay much at school, like the oldest kid makes about like barely 50, 60 rupees a day, whereas if they work outside, they get up to like 300 rupees. But, they're also getting the skills. And now with vocational training, it comes to more than that. So like parents are okay because they can take care of their needs, and they're learning that the kids learn more to earn more. So also when we have these older kids teaching the younger ones, the younger kid benefits a lot too. Because what happens in a middle class environment, that parents encourage their kids. They care about what the kids are learning, and that is not happening in the poor families. Parents cannot care less about their kids. Like they are happy if the kids don't go to school. It's the opposite mentality. So what happens at school is that we pair up kids, and we have a young kid and an older kid. They are paired together every day, and they are encouraging them and supporting them, and that makes a big difference, in a kid's life. Like especially for the younger kid, like in school, you look up to your seniors more than your teachers. That's someone that you can relate to, that's closer to your age group. You want to emulate them, you want to look like them, behave like them. So this pairing of older kid with younger kid, it really helps the younger kid, because they feel that, okay, someone cares about me, someone is helping me go through this. And the older kid, they have this sense of confidence. They gain confidence because they are responsible for a young child. They are teaching them, they are taking care of them. So it brings a big, it's like they have the self-esteem increases, because these kids, they come from a background where they're just crushed every day by the society, so their self-esteem is already very low. But this gives them self-esteem, and then they earn money. So they're like, okay, I'm valued, I have value, I can pass on my value to someone else, and then and I'm earning money, so I mean something. Maybe we can see one video actually here of Prashanta and Bhargav, where you have an older
Yeah,
kid paired with a younger one.
absolutely. Um, the video is not visible, Vaishali. Can we try sharing the screen again one more time?
Plus one gimana? K I N केवल किती है ते दो कोड असे शिवा देखा
So, so these two kids, they are both orphans. Both of their mothers left them when they were young, and we try to put them together and make sure that, the younger kid has someone in his life who cares about him. And Prashanta, because he went through a similar situation, he empathizes with the young kid and he tries to fill in the role of a brother. So it's not just that, we put them together and then they're just there and then it's over. Like the relationship continues beyond the classroom. Like when Bhargav can't find his pencil, he would come to Prashanta and say, I can't find my pencil. And Prashanta say, okay, you can take mine, or he'll go help him look for that. So this is also developing a relationship. And the young kid here, for example, he has no one at his home who cares for him. He lives with his grandparents. They are both daily wage earners who leave in the morning, come back in the evening. He's alone at home. So, so coming from that kind of an environment, it's really difficult to get out of poverty, because when we think we are giving equal opportunities to the poor people, we are not, because you have to consider their home condition. They don't have food to eat. That's where the struggle starts. Education is like something that they can't even think of, or that's not their concern. So we need to be able to provide equal opportunities by providing them the environment that takes care of their different needs, not just their education, but but their emotional needs. And like they need that sense of feeling that they belong somewhere, which is missing for them. A lot of these kids we have seen at school, they feel like they don't belong anywhere. So we are trying to give them a place at school where they feel like they belong somewhere, and like they mean something, and they can do like amazing things. And that's like, we have seen the kids change. We have seen kids who are very angry, who had a lot of issues, they have completely transformed in this period, because they're getting the self-respect, that it never got before, and that makes you change. Not to mention when you're learning at your level, like when you're understanding what you're learning, you are interested. Why do kids lose interest in, studies? Because you don't understand or it's boring. It's one of the two things. So we are trying to find a way to actually reach out to the kids and keep their interests alive, and at the same time give them the freedom to do what they want. Like we watch movies, we watch Marvel movies, we choose a movie that they want to watch, and then we study the movie. So kids have like a great time, and they learn so much more. Like they're learning how to speak English by watching movies. So so we need to give kids that creative space, that freedom to do what they want, and like the opportunity which these poor kids are missing. So we are trying to give them this opportunity so that they can be, whoever they want or whatever they want to be.
Absolutely, Parmita. That's really great to hear, and especially the video. How you have captured a 2-year journey of this child, of how it has impacted in this entire learning experience. That's very great to see. And of course, the most important element that I think I take away from what you've mentioned is how it is important to, structure your education according to the needs of a child. What the child enjoys, that really needs to come into the sort of education delivery. So that's really great to know. And while upskilling is a very, very important aspect of what you do, the other important aspect is, the environmentally conscious mindset that these children end up developing. So how do you get these children to take responsibility for their surroundings? They come from homes where it's very challenging to convince the parents of how some of their actions have a very, very negative impact on the environment. So how do you incorporate that aspect? How do you convince the children to develop that sort of mindset and act accordingly?
Well, when we started doing vocational training for the kids, we thought that we have to work on the environmental aspect, like they need to learn about that. So when we discussed with the kids, they told us that we were trying to find out what aspect can we work on. And then they told us that they burn plastic like very regularly, and in the winter months, they huddle around it for warmth. That means you have like young children just breathing in those toxic fumes because they are cold. So we were like, okay, let's start with that because that is really dangerous. So when we told the kids that bring in plastic bags, they did not, because some of them did, yes, but we did not get enough that we required from them. And we also need the plastic to be clean because we have students who are working with it. So when the students were not bringing it, we told them that, okay, this is a free school. So, you either send in plastic bags, 25 bags per week, or you start paying fees. So of course, parents, they love the school, the kids love the school. So they started, bringing in plastic. So that plastic, our older kids, they recycle it after school hours. They make eco bricks out of it. They also collect plastic from schools around, from like shops. There are some shops around the schools, restaurants. So they collect bottles from there, and then they stuff that with plastic packets that are collected from these students' home, and that becomes an eco brick. Then our students, they also make different kinds of construction with that eco bricks. Like we have built like pathways, we have like a planter. So this way the kids are learning that, that, okay, this is bad for the environment. How can we contribute? We can do something about it. We can at least just not burn our trash, we can maybe take that to school and also earn money along with that. So this is like a monetary opportunity for them as well. Depending on the quality of the bricks, we pay them money. Now at our school, the money that they get, it depends on how the quality of the work is. We take that very seriously. So the kids are also motivated to work better because that directly affects their pay, So yeah, that's how we started doing the plastic thing. And now we are trying to build a machine again because of COVID. We had to stop everything. But have you heard of Precious Plastic? That's like a project in Amsterdam. So we are trying to build a machine.
Yes.
We already did a fundraising for that. And now we want to teach our kids how we can recycle the plastic also. So that's the next step. We will be
So,
also yes.
sorry to interrupt you, Parmita, but for the benefit of our audience, if you could also elaborate a little more on precious plastic itself.
Yeah, so Precious Plastic, they have built machines, different kinds of machines to recycle plastic. And recycle as in you can like remold the plastic into something else. So they have made like tiles, anything that you can name it. They have made bowls, like different kinds of beautiful items. You can look up their website. And so that project is mostly for schools now because it's not sustainable in the sense that we can't recycle like big amounts of plastic that way because there are fumes involved, and you can't like make it on a bigger scale yet. But it's a great opportunity to teach kids as to how we can be doing that, and we are hoping that our kids can learn and then come up with their own ways and own techniques of doing things, because the goal here is to teach them how to do it. So yeah, so we are also trying to build that machine. Once this whole lockdown is over, we'll work on that, and we are hoping that that also teaches kids, how you can actually reshape plastic and create different things and not spoil their environment. But the idea in general is to get our students ready for large scale, environmental cleanup, because the natural calamities are just going to keep increasing. We have to get our kids ready. We have to think about what are the jobs in the future and then work on those lines, because our education system is not keeping up with the technological developments that we have had. We are not even considering that, and the world is like we are still focusing on memorizing in schools now. Even now, I can't believe that they're still focusing on memorizing when you have Google. Like you want to add something, you go online. So we need to be teaching kids skills which are more than what our schools are offering, and we are hoping to be able to do that so that kids have the tools that they need to do big projects like clean up the water. We always write off kids, that kids are they're too small, they are not ready, but that's not true. Kids can be very responsible. You have to treat them right. Like if you come to our school, you will see that we have like a great environment going. You have older kids who are helping the younger ones, and not just for monetary benefits, they are changing themselves because they emulate adults. If you show the kids the right things to do, if you show them how to behave, they will learn that. And they have a lot more capacity than even us, because we are already old in the sense that, we are not thinking the right way, or, we need to open our mindset. But kids, they have that. So yeah, we are hoping that our kids are ready for big scale changes, and we can give them the tools also to be able to do new things, and they can do a much bigger work on the environment. And that is what we are hoping to do when we get into more schools, in government schools. Like our idea is to train up the kids to be ready to deal with the challenges that the environment disaster is going to pose on us, and have some kind of tools that we can provide them so that they're ready to work towards that. We also want to focus on refugees. Like refugee is going to be a big problem in future. So we want our kids to be ready for that, to build shelters, provide food and water, first aid, like basic things, so that they are ready for the real world, not just our book world that we are still imposing on them, that they have to memorize this and then you become this and that. No, we need to make them ready for the real life problems, and we are hoping to include that. So yeah, what we are doing right now, this whole plastic school phase, it's not creating that big of an impact. It's just making them aware, or they're participating in the process, but it's not that big of an impact. But we are hoping that we can motivate and get our kids ready to do big things, because the thing is that all the older kids that we have now, they came to us when they were already 12, 13 years old with no knowledge, and now they're ready for class and exams, but they are still not there yet. I'm sorry, but they're still not there yet where they can develop tools or do technological developments. But we are hoping that our young kids can, because there's a video which we're not going to show, but they have three siblings, okay? And the youngest kid, she has two siblings who are teaching her every day at school and at home. And she is reading at a level which is better than a kid of her age in an English medium school, in a private school. Which means that our youngest kids that we have now, once they are in class 8, class 9, they will be like at par with any school that you can name, and they will be ready for that. So that's a generation, that's a group that we are hoping that they will be able to make large scale changes. Like they will be ready for to build robots or to build machines that can actually clean the water and come up with creative ways. So yeah, that's what our end goal is. Like we are still like a long way away from that, but that's our aim, future goal.
Absolutely. I think we see a great, from what I understand, I see a great alignment with, what we at Worldview are also doing in terms of helping young people. So in our, in terms of the people we work with, it's Generation Z, right? So we are encouraging them to develop that problem solving mindset. And the one thing you
Exactly.
said, which is extremely important, is that you're never too young to make a difference. You're never too young to create an
Yes,
impact. So our mission is to build a generation of solvers, a generation of young
exactly.
people absolutely ready and capable of creating that sort of impact. So that's great to know. And I think one of the other things that we also really believe in is, 21st century skills, whether it is communication, or whether it is critical thinking, and these ancillary skills that are not primarily incorporated as part of education. It's something that Akshar Foundation really focuses on. Apart from the syllabus, the core syllabus that you focus on, there's also a focus on helping students develop a certain skill set. So how do you incorporate that element? How do you engage with these students to help them develop certain other ancillary skills which will be very helpful for them in the long run?
So our school is like like a society. It's not just a school. Our kids learn different kind of skills by being at school. Like for example, they learn how to be a teacher. They also develop empathy because they have to care for a younger kid. They have to answer to the needs of the kids. We have an animal shelter at school where kids are learning how to care about animals. So we are trying to teach them different things by actually doing it. Like for example, our kids also have financial management skills, and they are good at it. So the students every day when they teach, they have to write in their timesheet the day the student they taught, what they taught, and they have to get it signed by a teacher. Then every Friday they can deposit the timesheet to the school bank, and then they can also withdraw money if they require, or they buy things on Amazon. So we have like a system where they either deposit the money, take out cash, and then again pay it back to us again, of course, from the when they buy something. But the kids are learning the skills from a young age. They are also learning that if they save, they can buy better things later, which is totally missing from their family lives. Like a lot of skills that middle class families have, they learn it at home, which is not taught in school, which is something that these kids do not have at home. Like financial skills, their parents are barely struggling to, provide for one meal. Like they don't have savings. So they have no concept of saving. In the beginning, we had some kids that were like, no, we want to buy today because who knows what happens tomorrow. But now we have kids who are like, if I save this much money, maybe I can buy a cell phone. If I save more, I can buy a tablet. So just this idea of saving, it makes a big change in their lives in terms of how they will conduct themselves in future. So we are trying to instill the real life society behavior that they should be knowing in the school. When kids misbehave, they have to pay fine, which is again like the real life society. Now, when you lose money, it pinches you. Same with kids, like it is with adults. So if you take away their money, then they are upset. We don't beat, of course, but like parents put us requests to beat kids. So in the beginning, what we were doing is we were giving them timeouts. So okay, you are doing this, so you have to go timeout. They couldn't care less about timeouts because they're used to beatings at home. So they're like, okay, so I will do something bad and then I just have to go stand there for 20 minutes. So what about it? But you take 5 rupees from them, they will never do it again. So, so we have like a great behavior. We don't have to control our kids anymore. Like they are well behaved because they know that their behavior has consequences. If you behave well, you are rewarded. If you behave in a wrong way, you are fined for that. So that's what the idea is to do, to have like a society where they can learn different skills. And we are also trying to run like a business with the school. So again, because of COVID, we couldn't move ahead, but we were trying to build a mini golf course at our school where our students will be managing that. So we have students who are learning landscaping, who are working in that landscaping for landscaping the golf course. And then we have kids who are good at cooking, so they will be cooking stuff and selling that. Kids who are learning business studies at school, they will be managing the stalls, So we are trying to give them like real life skills along with education, because so that they can interlink the two and then work or develop themselves accordingly. Because now we have seen that in the education system there is no link between the practical skills and the bookish knowledge, and we are trying to blend that. So all our vocational training incorporate that. If they're learning carpentry, they're also learning about math, they're learning about geometry. So so we are trying to teach them the real life skills along with education. And the subjects that our students choose, we are trying to be more practical about the selection. So now our students are doing business studies, they are doing accounting, because those are skills that you require to do anything, especially managing managing accounts. You can use that skill anywhere, wherever you work, there's someone who's managing accounts, right? So now for class 10th, our students are choosing, the advantages, we have NIOS, we are doing NIOS, exams. So there you can choose the subject. So we have a more wider variety of options to choose from, like solar panel technician. So we're trying to focus more on the practical skills, especially for kids who came to us pretty late, who came to us when they were already 13, and they learn from ABCD and they're ready for class 10 in like 4 years. So that's like a big leap for them. In 4 years, they learned like the whole curriculum that kids spend 12 years studying in a school. So, but we are hoping that the younger kids, the kids who are more gifted, who are more, enterprising, they will be doing whatever they want. So vocational training is just a way to teach them, different skills, and then they are free to choose. Like they want to be a doctor, they'll be a doctor. Like Deepika Hemrom, she wants to be a doctor when she grows up. We have a student, and she is one of the first of our students who said that who wants to be a doctor. Like the self-esteem of our students is very low. Again, their role models, they don't have good role models. Their parents are alcoholics, they have a lot of issues at home. The people they see around them who are successful are like our students want to be like drivers and builders and things like that, because that's what they see around them. To drive an excavator, that's the aim in life. For a lot of girls, it's being a housewife. So we have to get them out of that mentality also. So we are trying to do that, but it takes time. It requires more time. So for the older kids, we have more reachable goals that they can set for themselves. And for the younger kids like Deepika Hemrom, we let them be whatever they want and we push them for that. So suppose she wants to be a doctor, right? So what happens is when a kid gets injured at school, who do you think puts the bandage? Her. We get her with a junior teacher, and then they help clean the wound. They put a bandage. So we're also trying to get them to, okay, you want to be a nurse? This is what you do. You try to help your fellow student, who's injured. So we also try to link up their, whatever they want to do with some small activities around the school, so that they can feel more, passionate about that, so that they know what it entails, and that encourages them. So we are hopeful that our young students, especially kids like Deepika, they actually go on to become a doctor, because they have the skills to do that. They have the right idea, mindset. They are studious. So there shouldn't be anything holding them back if we can provide them the right opportunity. And the parents are more or less supportive enough to, actually push her through. So yeah, we are hopeful for our young kids that, they will be ready for the life, and they will be creative, because we are really trying to instill in them that do your own thing. Like when the kids ask something, hey, what is the meaning of this? If I don't know, like the traditional idea is our teachers will just make up something, or like try to act like they know everything. We don't do that at all at our school. We are like, oh, I don't know what it is, let's go look it up. Let's look it up on Google. So they know that, okay, it's not that teachers, they know everything, and we are students, we know nothing. There is no difference between that, and all our students are teachers. So they understand what teaching is. They understand the value of teaching, and they're also better students now, because they know how it is when you have disobedient students. They have experienced that, so they don't want to do that. So we have seen like great changes in the kids' behavior, or how they are conducting themselves, and we are hopeful that it will translate into the life skills that they require to survive in this world.
That's great to know, Parmita. And I think we've made a couple of references to Deepika, and I think it'll be great to put a face
Yes,
to
that
that
would
name.
be,
So
please.
we'll
That would
probably
be
just
great.
play the video.
And she was pretty nervous for the video shoot, but yeah, she just got promoted and she's teaching 3 kids now.
Oh, wow. Oh, that's great.
And she gets more money because there are more kids.
Okay, number 1. Across. Across মানে কি বুঝাইছিল? সিধা। Good. Across মানে সিধা আৰু down মানে তল। Good. এটা আমি across number 1 টো কৰিম। ঠিক আছে? ঠিক আছে। সিধা কি হয় তো? Right. সিধা opposite of bed. Bed মানে তো opposite মানে কি আছে? কি কৈছে ইয়াতে বেডৰ উল্টা কি হয় উল্টা এতিয়া নাম্বাৰ 5
Yeah, so she just started teaching 3 kids, and all her examples that she's coming up with, those are her examples. And so, in a village, the thing is, people like the girls, they're married off early. That is something that we can't control. But if you can educate them well, when they have kids, they are going to be able to be an actual teacher to them. So, so that is how we actually get them out of poverty. The next generation, we are also giving them the tools that they can help the next generation. Like we have had young kids, who kind of have no choice but to get married. So the thing is, you can't be with any guy or be seen with any guy in a village. If you are done, you're married off. That's the reality. So, so we are also hoping that the tools that we are providing them can help take their whole, family forward if it comes to that.
Yeah, that's really great to know, Parmita. And it's great to see Deepika, teaching like that with
Yeah,
so much
she's really good.
confidence and, breaking it down such that the kids really
Exactly.
understand what she's talking about.
That's why
That's
she's
great.
translating every word. She's asking them interact. They are better teachers than many other teachers I have seen, like
Absolutely.
seriously. And by the time they graduate, they have so many years of teaching experience. Oh, by the way, Deepika, she's also earning money now in the lockdown by teaching some private school English medium kids
Oh, wow.
that stay near her house. And they are
That's
like in
amazing.
financial status, they are doing better than Deepika's family. But Deepika is so bright that their family is like, okay, let's go to her. So so the skill set, if we can do it well and the kids they are ready for it, like, they can do whatever they want. So they just need like
Absolutely.
an opportunity to be able to do things. So that's what we are hoping that we can provide to them, and that's why we are trying to get into government schools, because if you want to reach out like millions of kids, there is no way to do it unless you have the support of the government.
Right.
So that's what we are trying to do, because we have seen how these kids have transformed. Like kids that you won't believe, like how much they have transformed in 4 years. Like you have to see it to believe it. Like, so we know that the system works. We know that this actually gets kids learning. They learn really fast. Our kids are like on an average, they are learning at about 2 grade levels a year, which is like for kids in from this kind of background, it's a big improvement. It's they're doing better than the private schools if you compare it like that, especially for the kids who came in at the same age as the private school kids, like a 3-year-old who starts with, like Bhargav, for example. He started with us young. He's already doing tables. He's like 7 years old and he's doing like multiplication tables,
Yeah.
because we are able to. And the thing is, we don't force our kids to do anything. They want to do it. So all we have to do is encourage them, and that's it. And then let them pursue what they want to do. And we have like a horde of junior teachers, our students, who are encouraging these younger kids every day. And all these kids, they have regular classes. So we shouldn't give the idea that we only have student teachers at school. That teaching happens for only about half an hour or 1 hour a day. It's not more than that. Sometimes 1.5 hours, like for the oldest kid. But the rest of the time, they are learning. But that
Right.
1.5 hours, it makes a big difference in everyone's life. In the kids who are receiving classes, the kids who are teaching, like it just changes them totally. Like we have Khan Academy at our school for math now, and we are implementing a Nalanda project. That's like a program where they give tablets to schools, and then you have like an offline laptop that you can use to connect all the kids. So for Khan Academy, it was difficult for them. They tried in many government schools. They could not implement it very well because kids don't read English very well, right? So, but at our school, we have an older kid teaching a younger kid every day. So what happens is the older kid sits down with the tablet with the younger kid. They go through the things, they teach them, and the kids love learning on tablets, of course. So they are learning like at a great speed. And when the founders of that program, they came to us and they were like, this is like the best implementation of our program. We are able to do that because we have the support of the student teachers. So, and the student teachers, you need to get them on your side, because once you have them on your side, you can run the school. And all you need to do to get them on your side is just show them that you believe in them and you trust them. Kids make the right decisions. We just think that kids are, they can't do anything or they are not capable of doing something, which is very wrong. If you treat a kid like you value their opinion, they come up with good ideas and suggestions, and they have their own feelings and thoughts. And that's what is ignored in school. We just put them in like boxes and expect them to just be like that. We have kids who are not good at studies but who are amazing at drawing. We let them pursue their passion. Like we have to find out what each kid is good at, and that's what we are hoping that the school years are for our students. We have different skills that they can learn, so that they have a wide variety of things that they can dabble in, and then figure out what they're interested in, so that when they are 18 years old and they have to go work, they know at least what they want to do because they have had the experience of working in different fields.
Right, right, of course. I think we've really drawn so much inspiration from all that you've incorporated in the school, and I think the one thing that would be really keen on understanding is that as young people, as we work a lot with Generation Z, so as young people, what role can Gen Z play, in having a certain impact when it comes to education and helping the underprivileged children, maybe about their age? Because you've mentioned how older children are now teaching younger children, so there is an ability in that age group also to create an impact and make a difference. So how,
Definitely.
what role can Gen Z from perhaps more privileged backgrounds play in this scenario?
I mean, I think if students from more privileged background, they take an interest in solving the problems of the world, we can make that happen. That's what is lacking, because they have the resources to do that, they have the connections to do that, and we need to be able to provide an opportunity for them to be creative, which is what is missing. So so if that can be provided for, if there is some way, I guess that's what you're also trying to give a platform
Absolutely.
to students, but that's what is the need of the hour. And you can do anything from, like, you can research and come up with ideas, depends on your interest, of course, but like, we really think that they are the future, this is the world that they will be living in, so they have a full right to at least participate in the development process, or to come up with solutions. So I think all schools should just focus on finding solutions for the future. Like, we need to have subjects like that, we need to give a medium for students to do that. So, well, here I guess everyone is individual, it's not like on a school level that's happening that they can do, but you can make small differences in your lives just by being careful of what you consume. Like all this animal cruelty that's going on, which is causing a bad impact on the environment, we can stop that by just changing our diet. You can just recycle the plastic that you generate at home, because if every house starts doing that, it will make a big impact. You can maybe help a kid, underprivileged kid, and not make fun of them, but actually treat them like equals, because if they are poor, it doesn't mean that they are not as good, which is like in India especially, we have seen that mindset amongst our kids, where they differentiate between like a slightly higher financial status, and they, like that's really messed up. So if we can just give, like, treat like an underprivileged child with just like as equals, that makes a whole lot of difference to them. So if we can just be the change, like Mahatma Gandhi said that we want to see in the world, like if we can start actually doing that, I think each one of us has the potential to make a big difference. Like, this is our world, we have to do something, like, if we want to preserve it.
Absolutely. I think, Parmita, in the interest of time, there are a couple of questions that are coming in that we'd really like to address. And I think we have a couple of our audience asking us, how is it that you convince the family of these children? So one aspect is, indulging the children in certain skill development, learning activities, and giving them or helping them build that mindset of more environmentally conscious individual. But how do you convince the families of these children to get them to study and invest their time and effort in studying rather than, in your case, working in stone quarries for that matter?
Yeah, so I already, I think, mentioned that what we tell them is, if the kids come to school, then they will earn more money, and the parents understand that, because so after a few months of having, like, in the beginning we struggled to get kids, but after like about 6 months, even the neighbors started observing that those kids, they were different from the other kids. They were trying to talk in English, they were more creative, they were trying to come up in the kids, you would be surprised, they would take like 20-30 sheets every day for homework. Like, we had to limit the number of sheets that the kids could take home, because they were genuinely interested in learning. And when parents see that, and then they're also getting some money along with that, they have some hope that, okay, these people are maybe actually trying to help us, and our kids will earn more. So that is basically the main incentive for parents, is get your kids to school so that they can learn more to earn more. And so far, like, that has worked wonders with us, so we are hopeful that that continues.
Yeah, of course. And I think the next question, it's not really limited to the underprivileged students alone. This is probably something we face ourselves, which is that a lot of time it's very difficult to convince your family or your friends in terms of the environmental impact, right? So as an individual, you might be able to take up certain or make certain behavioral changes when it comes to, let's say, for example, reusing plastic. But how do you spread that, or rather, how do you influence others within your influence zones to be able to take that kind of action?
Honestly, we are struggling with that, that's like a struggle, everyday struggle. Like, I have neighbors who burn plastic, and anytime I go talk to them about that, it becomes like a police case where they want to go and complain, and it's people are not ready for that. So that's why we are hoping that we can get the next generation to be conscious, and then they can change their parents. Because we have seen with at our school that when you have these young kids selling, don't burn trash, that's bad for your health. It's like, the adults are like, okay, it's a kid telling me, maybe I should stop, imposing my bad habits onto them. So we try to make the parents aware of what's going on, and then you have kids who we have on our side who are pushing for that, and then they tell us about it. Like, if their parents are still burning trash, the kids will be like, my father burned trash yesterday, and then we were like, how could you do that? So we are trying to get the kids to help us into actually changing the environment, because people here are not conscious enough. Especially in Guwahati, where I live in, we have minister colonies, where they are burning trashes. So, what can you expect of the poor people who already have so much struggle in their lives that they are imposing like one more thing on them? So that's why we are hoping that we can, help get our kids to help us to change the environment. And things are changing. Honestly, things are changing slowly. Like, I am seeing more and more people being, awoke or being environmentally conscious. So we can, be good consumers. I guess we change our habits, and then people, like, honestly, I was kind of shamed into being like a vegetarian, and now I'm trying to be a vegan because I was just embarrassed of eating meat in front of like young kids who are that much woke, that much conscious. So I think if we just do what we should be doing, we can change the society by being ourselves and actually making the effort yourself.
Absolutely. It all starts with you first,
Exactly.
making that, change in yourself and then setting an example for others to follow. Absolutely. That completely makes sense. And there's one more question that we have in terms of the role of the government. Will it be something that you all are planning on expanding across different cities and states, this entire model? And in terms of the government's role, because from what I understand, you're working primarily with government schools as well. This is a question that I'm combining with another question, which is that the national education policy that has come out recently, that in some sense tries to incorporate this aspect of making it a more
Yes.
solution oriented mindset being incorporated in children, rather than it being a rote learning method education system which we've been used to so far. So what do you think this policy is going to help us? And of course, as the Akshar Foundation, what are your plans in terms of expansion across the nation?
So yeah, I'll start with the policy. The policy is good. Implementation is always the problem. So what they are like, we need solutions coming from the grassroots, which is what is not happening. For example, you're teaching coding to kids now, right? They're from class 6 onwards, they're supposed to teach coding. What about those poor rural schools, where they don't have electricity, forget computers? So we are just creating like, or maybe increasing the gap between the rich and the poor if we don't implement these policies well. So policy is good idea. Vocational training, again, they're trying to do that, which is a good idea. The thing is, how do kids, be in school and learn vocational training when they have to go outside to earn money? So we are not taking into consideration the practical aspects of implementing the policy, but overall, it's a movement forward. I guess a step forward from where it was before. And now our role with the government is that in Gwalior school that we are looking at, we are hoping to work in two schools there. So their teachers will come to our school in Assam for like 2 weeks. They will see how our model works. And then we want to implement our model in the Gwalior schools. In the first 2 years of implementing our model in the Gwalior school, we will provide full support to the government teachers. We'll have our teachers who will be helping them, showing them the way till they can be independent. Once their teachers are able to run the program independently, we hope to withdraw and just provide like support from outside. So to be sustainable, that is always the main problem when it comes to NGOs. You have to be sustainable. So we are hoping that the government can hire our teachers to train their teachers. So if they like those first two schools where we work in, and if they want to carry it forward with us, then we want to put forth a proposal where you get in our teachers to train your teachers, like, because we need some support from the government to work on a very big scale. and we are hoping that they can provide us that. But the best part about the Gwalior school is that they will let us group the kids by their skills and not by their age, which is a big difference, because when kids are learning at their own level, they want to learn. Versus like in Delhi school where we were working, class 5 kids, they were supposed to be doing fractions, but they couldn't add. So how do we teach them fraction without adding? So there also we had to group the kids by the skills. And then kids learn really fast because they are interested in learning. Once you are interested, what's the next step? What's the next step? Like you yourself get involved in the process. So in the Gwalior school, we will be able to do that. We'll be able to group the kids by the skills. We'll be able to pay them as in, for whatever they are learning vocationally. We'll be also allowed to set up a shop at school. So basically, they let us implement our full model that we have here. And if we can do that well, we hope the government hires us to train more of the teachers.
Absolutely, we hope so too, Parmita. I think on a closing note, there's another video that on the education philosophy and how these students are incorporating these skills at your foundation, at your school. So I think if we can play that video and you could probably take us through
Sure.
the activities that you'll engage these students with.
Yes. So these kids, they learned how to install solar panels. We got solar panels at our school, and during that time when they were installing it, they involved our students. And this company, they will also hire our students once they graduate after class 12. So we are trying to link up with like small businesses where our kids can get employed, like, as soon as they finish, as soon as they're 18. And we are trying to develop the skills at school so that they're ready for that.
Yeah.
All these kids are dropouts. They dropped out when they were in class 3, class 2 from government schools. And
Wow.
they're amazing now. They really are. Like, they take care of animals very well. They have developed that empathy because that's what we are trying to teach them, by doing it. And we have dogs at our school. They are great with them. Like, they take care of the dogs. We are also making it compulsory at our school that before you graduate, you have to plant a certain number of trees. So we are encouraging kids to plant more.
That's
They're
great.
doing carpentry and they learn how to measure. We try to link up geometry with this so that they're learning the practical skills along with the bookish knowledge. Our students are building furniture at school now. So our school
Wow.
furniture, we give contract to our students, they build that. And that keeps them in school. They print the sheets. So worksheet assignment, we don't do anymore. We have labeled the worksheets properly. Kids can do it. So this kid, Raja, he writes the worksheet for the next day, which level will be doing which worksheet, because he understands the pattern as to what we have to follow. So they're developing like so many skills, like honestly, in 2 years, these kids can run our school. Like, we are not needed. They are getting that good. So yeah, in like 2-3 years, it'll be probably these kids who will be running like the full school with like one other supervisor. I think so. Like, they're pretty
Absolutely.
amazing.
Like you said, and I think the biggest takeaway in this engagement is that given the opportunity and
I think we
given
lost
the
you
right
for a
platform.
second.
Am I audible now?
No, yes.
Okay, great. I was just saying the biggest takeaway from this session for me, and I hope for the audience as well, is that as long as there is the right opportunity and the right platform provided, the young generations have the ability to really, really make a difference and play a very, very big role in creating that positive change that all of us, are speaking about. And on that note, Parmita, thank you so much for joining us. It was absolutely wonderful interacting with you and learning all about Akshar Foundation's work and the impact it is having on children at such a young age, making a difference in helping them upskill themselves while also making them very environmentally conscious individuals. So, thank you so much for joining us, and thank you to everybody who joined us this evening. I hope you all enjoyed this session and are taking away a lot of inspiration from Parmita's work. We have a bunch of exciting and interesting engagements lined up for you this weekend and next weekend. You can see on the screen the social media handles, and you can follow us here and take a look at the other engagements we have planned for you in the upcoming weeks. So we hope to see you all in our upcoming sessions as well. And thank you once again, everybody, for joining us today.
Thank you.